So let's see here now. We are talking about habits. And last week we began this discussion and I explained how habits work. So I'm just going to give a quick review of what that was about. Basically, it all comes down to this loop that has been very clearly verbalized and summarized in the book Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. And so, first of all, the way the scientists have identified that habits occur is that there is a cue that prompts a routine, which is also considered to be the habit. And then there is a reward that then allows the brain to think that this is a good routine. And so you begin a loop that the next time that trigger occurs or that cue occurs, you follow the routine, you get the reward, and now that neural pattern is stronger. And eventually, this becomes a habit. At first, the brain struggles to understand what's happening and what you're doing. But over time, the more that you run this routine, the more that the brain becomes accustomed to it and then has to exert less brain power in order to do it. And so then you start to do the thing without even thinking anymore. Just like how, you can drive a car and have deep conversations with people inside your car and still be processing everything happening on the road because you've driven so many times that now literally the brain is just does it in a very effortless way. And we did mention that the habits are stored in the part of the brain called the basal ganglia. So that's where the habit energy is formed. That's where scientists have identified it. So that was last week's discussion, how habits work, and we illustrated that with a few stories and also started talking about how to create new habits. But today, we're going to be talking about that. So, I'll come back to that. I want to talk to you about this man, Claude Hopkins. So, Claude Hopkins was a very famous advertiser. I'm not sure exactly in what decade he was his prime time, but I believe it was in the 30s, 40s, or 50s. But today he is considered to be like the godfather of advertisement. His Hopkins rules are like studied, and many of the marketing ideas that we have today, they come from his ideas. And so since he was like this genius of marketing, he was approached by this company of these people that produced the Pepsodent toothpaste. And they said, Mr. Hopkins, we would like to hire you to be our marketing engineer for the marketing engineer for Pepsodent. And so at first he declined. He declined because, oh, hang on one second. Please, I'm getting here a message that there's a problem with the sound. Is everything okay with the sound, folks? Sorry to interrupt the story. Let me know. Hitendra is saying Kirtan is running over discussion. So let me know if there's any problems with the sound, okay? I'll continue, and then if there's still something that I'm missing, then let me know via the chat, please. Sounds good to Rachel. Excellent. Okay, thank you, Rachel. Okay. Thank you, Kayla. All right. So then back to this brother who's saying who Hopkins. And so he he was pitched this idea to begin a marketing campaign for Pepsodent. But of course, he declined. He declined because uh, those days nobody brushed their teeth. So there was like this almost national health crisis that only about 7% of Americans or something like that were actually brushing their teeth. And this crisis became more apparent during World War II because the military found that all of the recruits that they were getting, that they were having severe tooth decay. And it was obviously, getting in the way of their military performance. So there was this sort of push for, improving one's relationship with one's teeth, but it hadn't become the habit that it is today. So Hopkins, being a very savvy business person, said, "No, I'm not getting involved with this. That's like suicide. Why would I waste my time on something that people will not embrace, will not do?" But the people at Pepsodent were persistent, and they offered him like lots of money and stock options in the product and so many things like that. Finally, he said, "Okay," because he was given so much flexibility and he was given so much money. So he did his research and he went to look up how it is that what's what he wanted to find out from like books on dentistry about why it was important to brush one's teeth, and he found that um, when you don't brush your teeth, there's a film that he called it a film that grows on your teeth. And so then what you do is you can just kind of clean it off with your finger or with your tongue. And so he was looking for some kind of cue that would prompt the people to brush their teeth. So he said, okay, the cue is going to be, I'm going to tell people, and he did it on the posters, as you can see on this vintage advertisement. He would say, run your tongue across your teeth. You feel that thing? That's called film, and that's disgusting. So you need to get rid of that. And so what you need to do is you need to brush your teeth with Pepsodent. And then what's going to be your reward for doing that? You're going to look beautiful, right? And so that's why you see here in this advertisement, it says, I can't read it. I'm sorry, it's so small. I can read it. I can hardly read it myself, so I apologize. I think it's like it's cleaner, brighter taste. Means cleaner, brighter teeth. New Pepsodent toothpaste with some product there removes the film that makes your teeth look dull. So you see, in these posters, he was trying to create a cue. You were supposed to look at it, feel the film in your teeth, and then go buy the product, brush your teeth, and then do it because you want the reward of looking beautiful. Okay? Like this poster is advertising. And at first, um, the product was not selling, but shortly after a few weeks, the product began to just explode, and suddenly everybody was buying Pepsodent. And he made millions of dollars. The company made billions of dollars, and anywhere he can get an ad, he was selling this stuff. It was just flying off the shelves, as people would say in the marketing industry. And he just thought he was the biggest genius for doing this. But it sounds like it sounds simple. It sounds like he applied this science, right, of cue, routine, and reward. But actually, there's another story that I want to tell you that will help to illustrate what was really going on here. So there was, in the 1980s or 1990s, this scientist, his name was Wolfram Schultz, and he did some experiments on monkeys. And I apologize to the people that are against this ethically or morally, um, using animals for testing. And so the experiments that he did about were with monkeys, and he had a particular monkey that he tried it with named Julio. And so what he taught Julio to do was he taught Julio that when Julio should see a symbol on the screen, that Julio should grab this lever that was above him. And when Julio touched the lever and pulled on it, then he got a reward. He got a taste of blackberry juice. And Julio loved blackberry juice. It was the most delicious thing for Julio in those moments. So at first, Julio would see these images appear on the screen, these shapes, in these colorful shapes. And he saw the lever, and he would touch the lever, and so he touched the lever, and then he got the juice, and suddenly, before that, and plus they were evaluating his brain. I don't know exactly what instrument they put in his brain to take a look at his brain scans. But in the beginning, everything was just kind of normal. But the moment that Julio got a taste of the juice, suddenly the brain activity was showing the indicators of full focus. So this was something that Julio was really paying attention to. The shapes show up again, and then, kind of incidentally, Julio touches the lever, pulls on it, and the juice comes. And so now slowly he starts to make the connection, until after a while, he knows exactly what's going on. He sees the cue, he sees the shape, he pulls the lever, and boom, he gets the juice. And when he gets the juice, the brain scans in his brain were showing evidence of like complete happiness. There's scientific evidence that shows that we get doses of dopamine, right? Dopamine when we hug people, when we get what we want, when we feel happy. So his brain was showing that all the indicators of happiness, pure joy, every time he got the reward, he got the juice. So they did this so that he would be completely hooked and programmed over some time. And after a while, the scientist, Schultz, he decided to switch things up. So, for example, he sometimes, when Julio would pull the lever, it would take a while to get the juice. It wasn't coming as fast, or they did things like that to kind of interrupt. And when that happened, the indicators in Julio's brain were that of complete depression and insatisfaction. So what essentially had happened was that he would be totally unhappy, which makes a lot of sense. And after time, what they noticed is that there was activity in the brain that when he pulled the lever, he was anticipating the juice. He was craving the juice. And so what they noticed was that the brain activity turned into craving after the routine occurred or during the routine. And this craving was so strong that they even, for example, they would leave the door open for him to leave the experiment and go play with his friends. They would put food, he would, for example, touch the lever, and then they would put some food in the corner of the room. But he was glued to the chair because he was craving the juice. And so, I mean, imagine how powerful now the habit was, that even with his opportunity to be free and leave the experiment or to get some additional food somewhere else in the room, he didn't want any of that. All he wanted was the juice. So what those experiments showed us is that for a routine to be fully established, for a habit to be fully established, you have to develop a sense of craving for the reward. Okay? And so this explains quite a few different things. I'll come back to these images in a moment. But, you know, it explains that it's not enough just to, if you say to yourself, okay, starting tomorrow, I'm going to, let's say it is a meditation cue, a meditation habit that you want to build. So then you might say, okay, my cue is going to be this picture. Could be a picture of the Buddha, picture of a yogi meditating. When I see the picture, I will sit for meditation. And my reward will be, the glory of being a meditator. Just feeling happy that you meditated that day. So those are the right conditions to set up the habit. But the habit is not really going to be fully established unless you trigger the brain to crave the reward. So that's why, for example, I suggested last week that one thing you might do is your reward for your meditation could be something tangible, like eating, having a delicious drink, like your favorite glass of lemonade or something. So that what can start to happen is if you do that routine and you reward yourself in the same way long enough, even during your meditation, you will start to, even though you're supposed to be concentrating on meditating, you will start to crave the juice. You'll start to crave your lemonade. And if you get to the point where in the middle of your meditation, you start to crave the reward, now you know your habit is working. It's fully functioning and established. Because you will not be able to establish yourself in the habit unless you crave the reward. You have to crave the outcome. So you have to create a situation where a sense of craving is occurring in the brain. So let's go ahead and come back now to what happened here and what happened with Pepsodent. So what Hopkins did not realize, okay, is that it wasn't just the cue and the reward that he had set up that was selling Pepsodent. Pepsodent had a secret ingredient that was creating craving in the customers, in the consumers. And maybe we know this because Hopkins wrote an autobiography and he didn't mention this part. He just talked about the cue and the reward. But he may have never even been aware of what was causing the craving. The craving was driving people crazy, getting them to buy Pepsodent. So what happened was that Pepsodent was one of the first toothpastes that had that sort of tingling feeling that toothpaste gives you. You know how when you brush your teeth with Oral-B or Colgate or Crest, it leaves your mouth with this feeling, right? Like, ooh, your mouth is tingling. The toothpaste is a little spicy. Those were the indicators to the consumer that the toothpaste was working. But in actuality, toothpaste don't need that. You can still, like, I remember once I bought this like organic earth-based toothpaste. It was like supposed to be the most natural thing in the world. But yeah, I didn't continue using it because it wouldn't leave that tingling sensation in my mouth like the other ones did. So what we want when we brush our teeth is not so much the act of brushing our teeth. We just want to feel that our mouth is nice and fresh and minty and clean. So that's the reward. And that's why we are very much conditioned to brushing our teeth, because we have now learned to crave that cleanliness, tingling feeling in the mouth after brushing your teeth. Isn't that amazing? So, that was what people were getting hooked on. And then when other toothpaste companies discovered that there's this ingredient causing the tingling in the mouth that has nothing to do with dental hygiene or with making teeth feel get stronger. Um, this superficial thing, that's what people were chasing. And that's what completely established people in the habit of brushing their teeth. Think about, for example, I'll give you another example from my life. Um, my wife, her and I, we use different shampoos. And my shampoo is just your typical Pantene Pro V thing. And you see, what I like about my shampoo is that when I put a little bit in my hand and I put it in my hair starts to foam like a car wash. It feels so good to wash my hair because of all that nice foam. Her shampoo, when I tried it, didn't quite do that. So you see, like, the shampoo doesn't need to have that. And these companies know that. They know that the soaps don't need to foam like they do now. The shampoos don't need to foam like they do now. But consumers buy those products because when they feel the foam in their soap or in their shampoo, it gives them the feeling that the product is working. Even though that foam is an extra ingredient that they put there that has nothing to do with cleanliness, with making your hair any cleaner or your skin any cleaner. So we then crave, the reason why we go back, or I go back to that shampoo, or I go back to these typical shampoos, is because I crave, when I think about showering, that feeling of the foam in my soaps and my shampoo. So what's important, the big takeaway from here, is that in order for our habits to get established, we have to develop the craving for them, for the reward. Okay? Now, I would like to hear from you, and please talk to us about the habits that you would like to create, or how what are your thoughts on this idea of you need to bring this extra ingredient, you need to have a sense of craving for your reward. There are, for example, and I'll keep talking as you start typing into the chat. I'll just say one last thing. There are habitual people who every day go running. I think one of them is in our chat. Maybe our sister Anushila. And or people who habitually, she's the one I was talking about. She's a runner. And people who habitually go to the gym. And so these people, what they learn to do is they learn to crave the endorphins. Those people who do meditation regularly, they have learned to crave the samadhi that comes from meditation, that feeling of oneness with the Supreme. That can become a reward that you start to crave very, very heavily. The more established the routine gets, the more the habit gets. So, and then that's what keeps those people keeps them meditating regularly and keeps them going to the gym regularly. So I'm already seeing some comments. Let's go ahead and take a look at them. Let's start with Facebook here. So thank you for the feedback. Many of you were saying that the sound was okay. Thank you. Now, Kayla says, I do this every morning with coffee. You do what with coffee? Tell us, please, what it is exactly that you're referring to, Kayla. All right. One thing about coffee is, like, one of the things that you can start to crave with coffee is, not just the feeling of alertness that you get when you drink it, but even the smell the smell is a craving, because um, uh, the cue could be like you get up and um, you see your coffee maker there. Then you run the coffee, and then the reward is the smell, and you just kind of want that waft of the smell or the caffeine, really. You want the caffeine. That's the biggest reward, the caffeine, to keep you motivated. And so you start to crave that feeling of alertness that's found in the caffeine. It kicks in right as soon as you start drinking it, right? Smokers eventually too, they start to crave the nicotine. So as soon as they smell smoke, they see cigarettes, the cue is there. They smoke, they get the hit of nicotine, and they're addicted to that. So that craving is very important. Is what establishes the habit, like we've been saying. Now, let's see here. Comments on YouTube. Okay, so I see that our brother from Nepal is named Pragalv. Welcome once again. No problem. Glad you're here for the online satsang. Thank you, Hitendra, for pointing out the volume issue that was happening earlier. Let's see here. On YouTube, the sound is good. Okay. And October says, great advice on creating new habits. Thank you. I have ADHD, so it is difficult, but your advice is fantastic. October, people with ADHD every day have habits that are locked, completely locked. So it really doesn't matter. That doesn't matter at all. I mean, even from the story that I told last week of Eugene Pauly, who couldn't remember anything, couldn't remember the last sentence he had just said or that somebody had just said, he was still developing habits. So regardless of anything else that might be going on in the mind or in the brain is wired to create new habits. It's one of the most primal, basic functions, thanks to the basal ganglia. So, to just solidify your habit, you want to set up your cue and your reward, and you want to learn to crave the reward. Okay? So what does that mean? For example, this is what this means. One of the ways that I look at my meditation is like this. I don't just say, for example, if you look in my personal calendar on my phone, I don't write, let's say, 7 a.m. meditation, 8 a.m. breakfast. What I write in my calendar is 7 a.m. union with the Supreme. So that, you see, I'm not really craving to meditate. I enjoy meditation, of course, but I don't really crave the meditation. What I crave is the union with the Supreme. So when I write in my calendar at 7 a.m., I'm going to unify with the Supreme, or I'll have union with the Supreme. Now I am scheduling my craving. I am scheduling my reward. My reward. That's a better word. I'm scheduling my reward. Because my reward is something that I can get behind and crave. Oh, of course I want samadhi. Of course I want this bliss and feel one with God and this total peace. That's what I want. Not so much repeating the mantra 500 times, right? So then I encourage you to, don't say, for example, okay, this week I'm going to go to the gym every night at 7. And rather say, this week, every night at 7, I'm going to go get my beach body, my bikini, or whatever men wear, their beach body. I don't know what you call the little shorts that men wear that look like underwear. I forget. So you see then, It's not like, oh, I got to go to the gym. I got to the gym. It's like, I got to go and get that amazing body for my pictures on my next vacation, you know? Or I got to go and get my Arnold Schwarzenegger cut, 6 abs or something like that. Because now, then you start to train yourself that you are not anticipating the routine. You're going there to get a reward. You're not going there to do a routine. You're going there to get a reward. Okay? Thank you, Kayla. The word is speedo, everybody. Thank you so much. Now let's see here. What other comments do we have? Um, I'll continue here on YouTube. And all right then. So then, yes, Anushila says, I'm here. Where am I? I'm here, the runner. That's right. And yes, Anushila, you're a big inspiration, Anushila. I see how much you run. That's awesome. October reminded me Speedo. Thank you, brother. Okay. Let's see here. Back to Facebook. So Kayla said there. Let's see if I can get that on the screen. Yes. It motivates me to wake up. The coffee does. Okay. So exactly. You see, when Kayla thinks about coffee, she's also subconsciously thinking about being awake. So, that's the reward of drinking the coffee. So that's what gets her to crave the coffee. And the coffee means so much more than coffee. It's actually the opportunity to be fully alert and awake. And let's see here. Karen says, my morning yerba mate cues my morning meditation and yoga. Very good. In a way, Karen, you have kind of put, because you also enjoy that mate. So you have a cue and kind of a reward in the beginning, and then a routine. But essentially, that's a cue. So if you should drink the mate again after, it can also be like a reward. Maybe you can tell us what is your reward that you've identified after you do your morning meditation and yoga. And then Hitendra says habit of patience and being compassionate. Oh, I see. Compatience. Thank you, brother. Nice new word there. Compassionate patience with myself and others. So that is a habit. We also talked a little bit about that last week. That sounds very good. To be cued, to be patient and compassionate when dealing with others. Let's see here. Aaron says, I do yoga daily, but I want to create a stronger meditation habit. I'm trying to learn to want to get up before my kids so I have an environment that allows me to meditate better. I'm too tired at night. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about, Aaron. I'm a family person myself. You're also saying, I know the reward is that I am generally a more positive person when I take the time for myself. A lot of my friends say that when I meditate, the rest of my day goes better. And when I meditate, I'm more focused, I make better decisions. And so that is the reward for why people meditate. And that's what I found my friends crave. They're craving that feeling that the day will go much better if I meditate. My thoughts, my motivation, my habit, everything will go better if I meditate. And that is something that can create craving, that will keep you meditating. Okay. Some people might be thinking that, but don't you want to meditate for the spiritual outcome? Yes, of course. Eventually, the brain will recognize that there's so much more to this practice than just being more focused. The brain will start to realize that this practice is merging me with the Supreme. And so then the habit will continue for those greater reasons. But in the beginning, you may have to program the brain in that way to get behind this habit. Okay? With these little tricks that we're referring to. Rachel says, And Aaron, I'm not sure if I addressed everything that you were saying earlier. So with your meditation habit, since you want to make it stronger, that's good to set up those conditions before your kids get up. I recommend to doing it right away as soon as you wake up. And that's kind of counter to what I've said over the years, because also I've also said, best time to meditate is after a cool shower. So, but the thing is that here's what happens. Okay, if you say to yourself, and this isn't the thing for everybody. This is just a potential problem you might encounter. If you say to yourself, I get up, I use the bathroom, I shower, then I meditate. Excellent. If you have that down, because then the shower is the cue for meditation. That's a great cue. That's also one of my cues. But what I think is that sometimes some people could, on the way to the shower, many things could happen. You could check email, you could check your phone. You might get distracted with something else. Suddenly now you're not meditating anymore because now time has gone by and you have to go to work. So it's best to try to reduce the steps in between you and the habit that you want to gain. So for example, if you want to go to the gym every day, every morning, why not your pajamas be your gym clothes? Provided that they're clean and they're comfortable, right? But so that if that's your thing and that's what you want to do, as soon as you wake up, you're in your gym clothes. All you got to do is stand up, go put on your shoes, and go to the gym. Or if you want to run every morning, your pajamas could be your running clothes. I know that's not comfortable, maybe not practical, but the point is that you minimize the degrees in between you and your desired habit. So that's why I'm saying if you want to meditate, do it the moment you wake up. So that there isn't anything in between that can stop you. So I would have a picture next to my bed or on the roof, say Bhavanam Kevalam, something that reminds you of meditation. Even you could have Vistara Circle there. And something that reminds you of meditation. And then you see that's your cue. Okay, so now I have to sit up, I have to meditate. And then what's the reward? That should also be put in place. In the beginning, if you need something to solidify that, maybe have your reward can be, I will check Facebook for 10 minutes. I will reward myself like that. Or I'll have chocolate next to my bed. I'll eat a delicious piece of chocolate. Or my reward is that you create some reward. Something that you can start to crave. Okay, keep that in mind. That's kind of one of the big takeaways from today, is that your reward should be something you crave. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful. Now you have children, Aaron, and so one reward too that I often come back to is I want to meditate so that I can be a better person to my family. I can be more compassionate, like Hitendra said, with my family and people around me. So I know I'm a better person after I meditate. So therefore, that's my motivation. I want my family to be happy, so I'm going to meditate for them. That's another reward. Okay. Rachel says, I get up very early and do myself Reiki and yoga or walk. Okay. Very nice. Maybe you can share, if you remember, how you got established in that routine. What's your reward for that? Thank you, Kayla. Speedo was the word I was looking for earlier. Vision boards are working for me. My reward is more mate outside with morning nature, grounding with earth and weather of the day. So you see, that's great. So Karen, when we get to that level, we know that the routines are more established because we do the meditation for this greater sense of grounding or spiritual development and things like that. And feeling more in tune with my body after yoga. Oh yeah, you can crave that, right? Oh God, after I do yoga, my body thanks me so much. It feels so good. Um, it's like that's what sets up the habit. Um, what I like to do after I do yoga is self massage. So, because we believe that when you do the asanas and you work the glands in that way, there's a certain oil secretion that comes on the body. It's nice to rub that back into the body. And so sometimes I've also felt that I crave the self massage. I crave the feeling of those rubbing my body and kind of there's a mental feeling that these oils are rubbed on my body. But you know, like sunscreen, if you noticed, a lot of people don't wear sunscreen that regularly. But I find that when I use but sunscreen tends to have this kind of thicker feeling on the skin that feels good, like a nice lotion. And so the sunscreen companies are trying to develop more sensations in the product so that consumers feel the product more when they use it, so they can get more hooked on it. So they're developing that, and my point in saying that when they do, and wearing sunscreen feels as the sensation is as clear as when you brush your teeth, probably people will wear more sunscreen. Same thing with lotion. Like, I'm not very good with applying lotion, but other people are very good with applying lotion. But I do recognize that when I put on the lotion, my body feels a certain way. That'll keep me coming back. There's a certain sensation on my skin. Anyways, you're identifying that sensation in your body after yoga. That's very good. That's something to crave. Let's see here. We'll read a few more comments and then we'll start to close. So Hitendra says, compassionate patience leads us to a greater understanding of ourselves and others. Compatience is a great cue for learning and a reward in that we become more focused on the now moment. Very nice. Thank you, brother. Kayla says, lol, I always do yoga in my PJs. Good, Kayla. You see, you're not wearing the Lululemon. You're not wearing those expensive yoga outfits. If I had to go and buy Lululemon and buy those, put on those expensive outfits, now there's more steps between me and my practice. And you want to get rid of those steps. So you've done that, just doing the yoga in your PJs. And our dear brother Lalit Mohan, also known as Luis, saying, at times I find the willpower to meditate even when I'm tired, even if it's just for a few minutes. You will feel the rewards when you're done, especially if you're drained from taking care of the family. Very nice. So, willpower is a very interesting topic that we're going to talk about here at some point. Willpower is something that can get drained because, like he said, after a day of taking care of the kids, that exerts a lot of willpower. So at the end of the day, to still have enough to do your meditation is not easy. So then how can you then get a little more willpower in your system at that time to allow you to perform the meditation, is to think about the reward that you're going to get. Essentially then why it's important. Okay? So so that's very good. Thank you, brother. Asking yourself, why am I going to meditate? Why am I bothering to meditate right now at 10:30? And clearly I want to just sleep. There's so many reasons to, I'll let you answer that question. Why would you do it at that point? For me, it would be because I want to please you. I want to please the Supreme. Okay? All right. Now, so I'll read these last couple of comments by Hitendra, then we'll see if there's anything on YouTube, and then we will close. So Hitendra says, my first thoughts and speech are thank you to the universe. When I move into singing kirtan in my mind and then aloud, I do struggle some days. The cues my meditation, which leads to my breakfast shake. Wow. You just reminded me about something. I know a man who is a meditation teacher. And he's my friend. And he has this rule, how he got his kid to meditate. He tells his kid, he says, no sadhana, no breakfast. No meditation, no breakfast. So his kid now will meditate every morning because his kid is craving breakfast. And so the child, he must be what, 13, 14 now? He That's what gets him through his meditation, and that's probably why he's so regular, because the father associated the reward is breakfast, and that could work for you too. I will not eat until I've meditated. And so then now you're craving to eat, and so you gotta meditate, and that will get you to meditate. Okay? Thank you, brother. And Karen says, yes, please, more about developing more willpower and learning to refill our own cup. Excellent. That's coming up. I think, Karen, we might talk a little bit more about habits next week or the following week. But as you can see, these topics overlap. Alrighty. So, last comments here, and then we're closing. Anushila, well, first, October says, love the scheduling advice. Thanks. No problem, brother. And then Anushila says, I drink coffee after meditation, which is on her reward. Okay. Getting up early is a reward because my house is nice and quiet, is an award. And I really appreciate those quiet moments. Ah, yes, that's a good one too. I just want that quiet in the house. Can I just be awake to experience that? Very nice. And the last thing she says is, I used to actually do that, sleep in running clothes or have the running clothes right next to my bed. Now that is super confirmed, because Anushila, our runner example, you can be our runner hero, representative. When you run, please think of us, those of us that don't get to run. You did that then. You run in your running clothes, you sleep in your running clothes, so that then the next morning, there's just no interference between you and the habit that you want to establish. Okay, so let's close. Well, thank you, Aaron, for your comment. I appreciate both your advice, Gustavo and Luis, for the evening meditations. Thank you, and to everyone for sharing. All right, thank you for that comment, Aaron. I don't think you and I have chatted. Let me also personally invite you now to get in touch with me this week. I am going to give you my personal calendar here so that we can have a chat. Okay? Please go ahead and book a 20-minute session, and we can get to know each other more, talk more about meditation and things like that.